build more because there's a bigger profit they can make. It's a big problem for me. If a developer were to say, Rosendahl, I'll go 100% affordable, even if they would say 50% affordable, I will do whatever I can do with my community and with zoning and variances to make it happen. But to me, in my district, it's just another assault on the folks and doesn't give me enough affordable housing. The problem I have is my colleague to my right, Ed Reyes, who's desperately in need of affordable housing and all kinds of housing. If the developers were to go to those districts and really work on it, rather than just coming to the Ocean District all the time to make their buck, kick out my people through an Ellis Act strategy like they did at Lincoln Place, and continue to make high-end condos and nice margins of profit. My district has had enough of that kind of development. That's why I'm working with the LAUSD right now with the hope that we can build with the LAUSD affordable housing on their property for teachers and firefighters. So if we're able to do something that is more substantial for affordable housing, it gets my full and enthusiastic support. At this point, even though I'm an affordable housing advocate, I can't vote for it. People will say, well, Rosendahl, you voted for it last week. Well, it was my ignorance of the law. I can go for amending and putting amendments in, but it means I can still also vote against it, and whatever is forced through the process would at least have those amendments. So I need more before I'm able to go with it, and at this point I'm for these amendments that make it better, but it doesn't give me what I feel I need. Now, can you respond to that? Am I wrong in what I'm saying about what it really does or doesn't do? Especially when I look at this Louise Street project in my district. Those neighbors came banging on my door. It took away parking by this place going up. It put shadow and destroys the character and scale of the neighborhood. What is your general feeling about 1818 in that context?
Deputy City Attorney Ken Fogg here. I understand what the councilman is saying, and throughout the state, cities have complained about this legislation. But, I have to remind you that it is state legislation, so if you do not approve the implementing ordinance, the state law will stay in effect. The city will have to comply with it, and the city will have to comply with the existing density bonus ordinance that it has on the books. And the reason why planning is bringing this to you is so that the city's codes can be made consistent with the state law, and so that there are procedures and there are no inconsistencies. Otherwise, you still have to comply with the state law. You still have to give these density bonuses.
Saying it's about what sort of housing we build, Los Angeles City Council President Eric Garcetti presents his perspective on the issue of what State Senate Bill 1818 will and will not do.
We're not going to save a single building from getting demolished by not implementing 1818. So I want to underscore again, no matter what happens with this, the importance, and we're certainly hearing this from our friends and the communities, the neighborhood associations, neighborhood councils, also from our affordable housing preservationists, that we've got to do something about those demolitions. What this does is, if something does get demolished, it inserts some affordable units in what gets built. If we don't pass 1818, 0 units get built that are affordable in what replaces what gets demolished. And I want to say that again because I think we're mixing apples and oranges sometimes. There's no prohibition from people knocking down rent-stabilized apartments right now and building something new. The current law, they don't have to do anything affordable. This law adds at least some affordable units, which is not going to solve the housing crisis, but for those 10 families or whoever, those are 10 more Angelinos who don't have to contribute to traffic, who can live in a neighborhood, etc. That's point number one. Number two, I appreciate the picture that Mr. Rosendahl that you showed us. That picture that right now, there's no protection next to an R1 zone for building something like that. The way we have written this now would be a protection. If we implement, if we fail to implement, there's no protection. Implementing with that exact picture actually protects that home right next to it from that monstrosity not happening again. And that's also an important clarification, because when we keep saying 1818 is going to make more of these, this is happening without the 1818 today. Neighborhoods need to know that, communities need to know that, and precisely because we're as appalled in our own neighborhoods with things like that happening, we changed the law that was drafted by the planning department to prohibit that. So I don't want us to say that 1818 is going to produce that. It's different. And it actually helps what you have said that you want, and I know that we want as well.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. All right, now we are prepared to vote. Please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 3 noes.
All right.
Now, because the vote was not unanimous this time, it was continued 1 week to February 20th, when 10 votes will be needed to pass the density bonus program. LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of city council meetings and programming about city department services and events. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35, or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And if you'd like to obtain a copy of an audio or videotape of a council or committee meeting, your request may be made in person at room 395 in City Hall, or by calling 213-978-1046, or of course by dialing 311, your one call to City Hall. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending February 15th, 2008. On behalf of Chris Calnan and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
does, didn't he? I know, he does, yeah.
Good morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to the City Council meeting for Wednesday, February 20th, 2008. We're in the John Ferraro Council Chambers here in room 340 of City Hall. We meet here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. The first Friday of the month, we meet in Van Nuys City Hall Chambers, and we are broadcast live as well on Channel 35, so we want to give a special hello to our viewers on Channel 35. We're rebroadcast in the evenings on replay as well. We are available online through our city's website, where we have streaming webcast of all our council meetings. That's lacity.org, where there's a wealth of information about your city council, your city government, and services to improve the quality of your lives in Los Angeles. We also are broadcast through our phones using Council Phone. That is 213-621-CITY. You can listen not only to the full council meetings, but the audio proceedings of any of our committees as well. Again, that's Council Phone, and the number is 213-621-CITY. We are awaiting a quorum. According to our council rules, all council members should be here at the beginning of the meeting to start on time. It is now 5 minutes past the hour, and the following council members, we need you down in council chambers immediately. Councilmember Alarcon, Councilmember Hahn, Councilmember Huizar, Councilmember Labange, Councilmember Perry, Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Rosendahl, Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Weiss, and Councilmember Wesson. We thank Councilmembers Gruhl, Parks, and Zine for being here on time and setting a great example. We will run through the agendas as soon as we have 10 members. Those are available in the back, also online 72 hours in advance, or in the city clerk's office. If you'd like to speak on any of the items for which there has been no public hearing yet, please fill out a speaker card and hand that to one of the sergeants at arms. If you'd like to give comments of a general nature that are on items nevertheless under our jurisdiction, you can also fill out a public speaker card under public comment, and we'll be sure to get to those as well. So again, council members Alarcon, Hahn, Huizar, Labange, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, and Wesson, please make your way down to council chambers immediately. Thank you, everybody, for your patience while we wait for those members. Thank you to council members Labange and Smith. We now have six members. We're waiting 4 more members. Councilmember Alarcon, if you will please come to council chambers immediately. Councilmember Hahn, Councilmember Huizar, Councilmember Perry, Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Rosendahl, Councilmember Weiss, and Councilmember Wesson. Thank you. third quorum call. Councilmembers Cardenas, Councilmember Cardenas is excused to arrive at 11 this morning. Councilmember Alarcon, Councilwoman Hahn, Councilmember Huizar, Councilmember Perry, Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Rosendahl, Councilmember Weiss, and Councilmember Wesson. But we are still waiting in council chambers to have a quorum. Please come down immediately. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wesson. We are awaiting now Councilmember Alarcon, Councilwoman Hahn, Councilmember Huizar, Councilwoman Perry, Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Rosendahl, and Councilmember Weiss. This is our fourth quorum call. It is about 13 minutes after the hour, and council members need to make their way down immediately, or we will not have a meeting today.
I think it's bad, if I remember right. I think it's bad if I remember right. Girls leaving at noon. Huizar, Laban, Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. We are now waiting one more member. Mr. Rosendahl and Ms. Hahn, I know, are in committee. If one of them will please come down right away. And if we can ask the sergeants at arms to please get one of them out of committee. Ms. Hahn and Mr. Rosendahl. We're also still awaiting Ms. Perry, expecting Mr. Huizar and Mr. Alarcon as well. As soon as we have one more member, we will begin. And if we don't have another member in the next couple minutes, we will adjourn for lack of a quorum.
I managed to get here. No, I know. It's like.
This is our final quorum call. Ms. Hahn, Mr. Rosendahl, Ms. Perry, Mr. Alacon, Mr. Huizar. Please make your way down immediately to council chambers.
But then now we have to check him out.
Please. Mr. Labange seemed to imply that we might have our last member, Ms. Hahn, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Alacon, Ms. Perry, Mr. Rosendahl. We are still waiting. It is almost 20 minutes past the hour. We see them coming in, and there is Ms. Hahn. Please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
I'm sorry, it's Mr. Rosendahl, not Ms. Han. Mr. Rosendahl moves. Mr. Labange seconds. That will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right. Mr. Weiss moves. Ms. Gruel seconds. Without objection, those two will be approved. You can run through the agenda.
First items on the agenda, Mr. President, are items noticed for public hearings. Items 1 through 11 are street lighting district ordinances. I believe 12 council members are expected. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, let's hold those on the desk. And if I can ask folks to wind up their conversations. Shh. Council members, we're going to running through the agenda right now, so please listen to those numbers if there's any specials you'd like to call. We've just held 1 through 11. Sorry, 1 through 11 on the table until we have 12 members. Next items, please.
Next items are items also public hearing items 12 through 22, and the recommendation for council action is to open the hearing and continue the hearing and ordinances until March 14th.
Okay, is there any objection to opening those and continuing the ordinances till then? If not, that will be the order. Please tabulate the vote. Or not. Okay, that's no vote necessary. Next items, please.
Next item, Mr. President, is also a public hearing item. It's item number 23, and that's a street vacation in Council District 9. And if there are no protests, Council District 8, and if there are no protests, the city engineer should be instructed to proceed with the vacation.
Okay, seeing no protests, we will go ahead and instruct the city engineer to proceed. Next item, please. Oh, we will vote on that. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, there's a request to continue this matter until March 19th.
Okay. Is there any objection, folks, to continuing item 24, that's the DWP rates, till the 19th of March? Seeing none, we will continue that until the 19th of March. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 25 through 28. On 25, a report has been submitted to the council, and 26, 27, and 28 are ordinances. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, we will hold those all on the desk. Did you want to also call them special? 29 we will. Okay.
Who's here? 25.
Mr. Alarcon is here.
And I know 30 by Mr. Parks.
Okay. Well, we're
We're
going
not
to
there
hold.
yet.
We have 12 members now, so we can take up. Sorry, it was 25 for you, Mr. Alarcon?
Yes, that was
Okay.
25 through 38, and I believe Councilmember Alarcon just called 25 special, so
Okay.
that would leave 26 through 38.
Okay. 26 through 28, colleagues.
30.
Any specials on those ordinances?
Tuesday.
Okay, Thursday. We'll continue till Tuesday without objection. That would be to the 26th. Seeing no objection to that, so ordered. 29 we're going to call special. 31 through 38, anybody? 31 through 38. Seeing none, let's go ahead. Those have had public hearings, Madam Clerk?
Yes, they have.
Okay, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
I don't know. 12 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next items, please.
Mr. President, did you wish to take up 26, 27, 28? Those are the ordinances, and
Yes,
there are
please.
12.
Yep.
Did you wish to include those in the vote you just took, or
Yes.
do you want to take another vote on those?
We can do another vote if they weren't included. Let's go ahead and prepare the roll.
And then do you want
Tabulate the vote.
do you also wish to include 1 through 11 on that as well?
Let's put 1 through 11. Now we have 12 members, the minimum required for first reading of ordinance. So let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held. Items 39 through 49, 10 votes are required for consideration.
Any specials, colleagues, for 39 through 49? 42 for Ms. Gruel. Any other specials?
And, Mr. President, there is also a card on item 49, I believe.
Okay, we'll call that special for cards from the public. We'll open and close the other public hearings. And please open the roll on the balance, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Next item, Mr. President, are the closed session items, and I believe there's a request to continue item 52 for 1 week, and that
Okay.
would be February 27th.
Any objection, colleagues, on 52 to continuing that? Seeing none, that will be ordered. We'll hold the rest on the desk for closed session, and we have a card as well on 53 and one on 54. So we will call those special for cards from the public before we go into closed session. Okay. We can go back to public comment at this, but before that, I'd like to recognize for a presentation, I know we have some special visitors, Ms. Hahn, if you would like to make a presentation right now. Yes. We'd be happy to recognize you.
Thank you for indulging me, Council President Eric Garcetti. Good morning. I want to introduce to you a delegation from one of my favorite sister cities, Ischia in Italy. And just to remind all of you, the island of Ischia is in the Bay of Naples, and it has a population of about 50,000 people. They're well known for their wineries, their fishing, their tourism. It's absolutely one of the most beautiful spots on this earth, and it's closely connected to the traditions and culture of Italian Americans here in Los Angeles, especially, as you know, in the harbor community that I represent, San Pedro, where approximately 30,000 San Pedro residents are of Ischia descent. Ischia officially became our sister city in November of 2006, so we're very pleased to welcome a delegation here today from Ischia. They're here for the Italian Film Festival, which will be held at the Kodak Theater. It's happening right now, February 16th to the February 20th, and everyone is invited to a night. There's a special Ischia night. Well, there'll be a dinner, and there'll be films that will be representative of Ischia and Capri. Carmela Funicello is here with her husband Johnny, who was responsible for starting the Sister City program between Ischia and Los Angeles, particularly in San Pedro. Carmela, would you introduce the guests who are here today and tell us what position they hold?
We have the pleasure to have our mayor from Ischia, Giuseppe Ferrantino, and the president of the councilmen in Ischia, Isidoro Di Meglio.
City Council President.
And we have our Consul General, Nicola Faganello. And we have the Di Meglio brothers, Antonio e Salvatore, and the Bottiglieri brothers, Marco and Massimo. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to, whatever you want to do.
In italiano, sì.
In Italiano.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Buongiorno.
Porto il saluto di tutta la comunità che rappresento, quindi della città di Ischia, che è una piccola città, ma credo di poter dire che è la prima località turistica italiana.
Scusa. Good morning, everyone. He brings greetings from the people of Ischia. It's an island number one in Italy, as a touristic spot. So this I had myself. You all are invited there.
E per noi è un grande onore essere gemellati con la città di Los Angeles, grande città di cultura, tradizione, e noi italiani ci sentiamo particolarmente legati allo stato della California.
I am very proud that Ischia is a sister city with this great city of Los Angeles. He's very grateful of this beautiful event that happened between the two culture, the two country.
Chiaramente noi a Ischia auspichiamo che presto possiamo avervi i nostri ospiti per far vedere le nostre bellezze e la nostra cultura e la nostra tradizione.
He wished to invite everyone to show the culture.
cultura.
Avere gli ospiti per vedere le bellezze e la cultura delle nostre province.
They want to host as many people as possible to show their beauty and their culture and archaeology, the spas, beaches, good food, good sun, just like California.
Quindi concludo nell'augurarci un arrivederci a presto a Ischia. Vi ringrazio ancora per l'accoglienza che la città di Los Angeles ha riservato a tutta la delegazione di Ischia.
He wants to conclude saying thank you for everything, wants to really invite everybody there, and to like they help you, and thank you for the welcoming, the beautiful welcoming that the City Hall, Genesan, all of you had for this delegation from Ischia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I also want to, I know the father of Sister Cities wants to say a few words, but I always want to take the opportunity to recognize the highest ranking Ischitani in our fire department. Assistant Chief Lou Rapoli is here. His brother, Rich Rapoli, is the highest ranking Ischitani in the police department. So we have those who are very part of our family here in the city of Los Angeles. And I have two resolutions, but Tom, would you like to say something?
Yeah, Mr. President, ciao, benvenuti, welcome. This is so great. So many Italian Americans has contributed to Los Angeles. In San Pedro, it's great to see Chief Rapoli and his brother be recognized, but also we can never forget the late, great John Ferraro, who this chamber was named after, a great Italian. Thank you, sir, so much. Welcome. I'm sorry it's raining. The skies will clear this afternoon. Thank you.
Grazie, consiglieri.
Thank you. And again, we want to welcome this great delegation. This is what Sister Cities are all about, Tom. The Italian Film Festival happening right there in Hollywood, a delegation coming from Italy to participate in that. This is what it's all about. I have been to the island twice. I plan to go again, hopefully this summer, so we can continue to enhance our relationships with this great city of Italy. So to the Honorable Giuseppe Ferrandino, the Mayor of Ischia, welcome to Los Angeles, and we hope you have a great trip. And you heard it, no more rain. Thank you. And then I have one for the President of the City Council, Isidoro DiMeglio. We want to also welcome you and thank you for being here. That's our President of the City Council up there. So salute and welcome to Los Angeles. Would you like to address our esteemed council?
Thank you.
Would you like to say something?
No, solo una. Viva Ischia, viva California.
Thank you. And we'll give the rest of the presentations back in the back where we'll take some pictures, but we're so glad you're here. And Carmela Funicello, thank you for all you do to continue this relationship between these two great sister cities.
Janice, you're a great lady. Without you, I could do nothing. So thank you. Thank you, all of you. The Mayor of Ischia invites the Italian Film Festival. It's open. It's free. Anyone is welcome. Movie from morning to evening. So please come.
Thank you very much.
Lou, why don't you come to the back?
Molto grazie. We will now have our general public comment, and we'll begin with Lisa Sarkin. After Lisa Sarkin will be Todd Royal. These are for items of a general nature not on the agenda today, and we have 2 minutes per speaker and a clock to help everybody guide their time. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I want to invite everyone, everybody here, and including all the council members, to the town hall meeting we're having in the Southeast Valley. It's regarding all the developments that are proposed for that area. There's 7 developments totaling something like over 400 million square feet of properties. Also, Mr. Garcetti, again, I'd like to ask you to expand the Plum Committee to represent everyone in the city instead of just these little red parts. We need 5 members of the Plum Committee as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sarkin. Our next speaker is Todd Royal. After that will be Michael McHugh.
Good morning. Good morning, City Council. My name's Todd Royal from Studio City. I'm going to really echo what Ms. Sarkin had just said about the Plum Committee. We would respectfully ask that you would expand that to 5 rather than the 3 council members for, again, greater representation for these issues throughout Los Angeles. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Michael McHugh is our next speaker. And then after that will be Michael Hunt.
Yes, my name is Michael McHugh. I'm also from Studio City and serve on the Studio City Neighborhood Council. Just a comment, because the Planning and Land Use Committee currently only has 3 members, with no member representing any area of the San Fernando Valley.
Just to correct that, Mr. Weiss does represent part of the San Fernando Valley, but...
Thank you for that correction. But I urge Council to expand Plum to at least 5 members to better represent the citizens of LA and to provide a larger spectrum of opinions presented. This would enable Plum to base their decisions and recommendations on a broader base of information that could finally include input and representatives from the San Fernando Valley. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Michael Hunt is our next speaker. After that will be Sharon Brewer out in the San Fernando Valley.
Good morning, City Council. Gosh, I don't even know how I feel today, man. Whether I feel good or bad or sad or even maybe happy that I'm here. Anyways, we're trying to depart from City Council in the next 2 weeks. I think that you guys can help us. You know, the offer should be on the table. That's the last part to get us out of here. We're trying to repeal the ordinance, I guess, on the 27th. At least that's when they gave me a court date. But anyways, like I said, we're trying to make a depart out of here, so we can go back to our lives. Along with that comes the violations, you know, to seek us out of here. So, Mr. Rosenthal, I think you got the last say on this.
The speaker should be directing his comments to the council as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney.
You think so? You don't think I have the right to address him, you know, so he can get us out of here?
Please continue with your comments.
Anyways, here again, 11th District, I'll just call it out by name. It should be done by the 27th. You should follow up and make sure that the proposal is on the table by the end of this week. You'll make me very happy, and then I can leave.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Sharon Brewer will be our next speaker out in Van Nuys. After that will be Francisca Porches here in Council Chambers. Good morning, Ms. Brewer.
Good morning. Sharon Brewer, public comment. Today I put in cards for items number 25 and 49. On February 13th, last Wednesday, during my public comment, I was interrupted by the President Pro Tem in mid-sentence just before my 2 minutes were over. I am requesting that the public be allowed to finish their sentence before the chair tells them their time is up. Also, last Wednesday, I put in a card for special event fee waivers and waited until noon, 1.5 hours, for that item to be heard, only to hear that my name was not called to speak on this item. This is not the first time I have put in a card for special event fee waivers and not been called to speak. I'm sure most of the city council members don't want to hear me total up the special event fee waivers or question why fee waivers are given, but I feel that the public has a right to know, especially with the city facing such a large deficit and the possibility of services to the public being cut or eliminated. Regarding the use of council members' names during public comment, City Attorney, please be consistent. If a public speaker is complimenting council members, they are allowed to use the council members' names. But if the public is talking about a problem with getting a response from a council member, they are told to address the council as a whole. Public comment on agenda items. If the public comment is not going to be allowed on an agendized item, please let the public use their public comment time to comment on the agendized item. Most people are not able to make committee meetings that are held downtown during the day. Basically, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brewer.
And we do have those cards for today. Francisca Porches is our next speaker. After that will be James Ota. Francisca Porches? Is there Francisca Porches? No? Okay. James Ota is our next speaker.
Morning, President Garcetti and members of City Council. My name is James Ota, Ota Trucking, Harbor Truckers for a Sustainable Future. The Clean Air Act plan both mayors are proposing will have a great impact on how these two ports will operate starting October 1st, 2008, with the replacement of all pre-1989 trucks. How can cleaning the air have requirements to replace independent drivers to become union drivers and healthcare issue? The proposal to have all harbor dredge replace all 16,000 trucks by the year 2012 is alone a huge request. With the financial assistance the ports are given, it's still not enough for all to be able to replace these trucks. Why has some of the trucks retrofit when the year 2012 all trucks will have to be 2007s or newer? Utilize the retrofit money and apply it towards replacing these trucks. The harbor truckers are trying to comply with CAF's requirements. They should be allowed so that the truckers can replace the trucks and not be rejected. Clean air, we all agree to work towards, is some of the requirements that many are opposed to. Clean air is for everybody, not for just a selected few, but for all union and non-union, young and old. We are for clean air to help eliminate health issues that are linked to the dirty air. Everyone has a choice on how to operate their trucks and companies, to stay independent truckers or become company drivers. Let us work together to clean the air and improve the harbors to make these the world's largest container ports. Clean air, yes. Concession, no. And union drivers, no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ota. Our next speaker is Yvonne Michelle Autry. After that will be Daniel Wiseman.
Good morning. Thank you for an opportunity to address the City Council. I'd just like to remind you that there's a moratorium that is supposed to come up before the Council, I think in 2 months, to determine whether or not we're going to have a one-for-one replacement for the downtown residential hotels. I would urge you in advance to be fair. If you have any conscience and you're not completely sold out to the gentry because of the revenue building potential, this moratorium would protect the housing for the low-income and the affordable housed residents who have lived here 5, 10, 15, 50 plus years. We're just asking for a fair and equitable one-for-one replacement. That is to say, for every unit demolished, that you would replace it with one affordable housing unit. It's fair, it's equitable, it's not outlandish. And I'm sure you would do that for the gentry. So we're urging you to do that in advance. We're protesting, and we're going to stand on our tenants' rights. Also, I'd like to I'd like to bring to your attention in December, one reason why we're lobbying for this issue, this measure, is because there are more disabled and veterans and senior citizens who are being displaced by the gentry. In December, 80 residents of the Alexandria Hotel were illegally evicted. Their heat was shut off. Their hot water was shut off. Thank you so much, President Garcetti. Thank you so much. The elevators were turned off. The theaters and the movie companies had keys to the elevators, but by and large, most of the senior citizens, the veterans, who this country should be most happy to house and to take care of, these people were evicted. They were forcibly evicted because they were harassed, because there was no heat, there was no hot water, the elevators were cut off, these people had no way to get to and from their rooms. Again, the movie companies had keys to the elevators, and so these people became homeless. No one speaks about them. So again, if you could protect the housing for the most needy, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Autry. Daniel Wiseman is our next speaker. After that, we'll go back out to Van Nuys, and Bruce Darien will follow. Good morning, Mr. Wiseman.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for recognizing what the D stands for when I fill out the card. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard Sharon Brewer talk to you about public comment. You know very well that when I come to this podium, I often speak on that matter, and I scan around here to see if anybody's listening. And I'll wave to the listeners. Hi, listener. I hope, again, that we can bring this to a real useful thing for many of us who appear at these podiums, both here and in Van Nuys, and I hope elsewhere in the city. There will be places where others can go so that they can talk to you. They really want to. They really want you to hear them. They really want you to respond to them. At least bring some of your staff forward. I know Mr. Reyes does that regularly, and it's a very good thing to do. I also want to speak to the role that the neighborhood councils play in these chambers and in this city. At the ENN meeting yesterday, it was discussed in some detail, and others brought up the point that the actual position of neighborhood councils in this city government is still questionable and problematic in the minds not only of city council members, but in the minds of us neighborhood council people too. I see our general manager from Dunn here. I would call on all of us to come together and start resolving the situation so we don't have to have special Form 700s for single issues such as the council files that were discussed, but can do that for everything we do. The last item I'd like to bring to your attention is the fact that we're unable to talk about the Department of Water and Power bill as it's being continued, and I hope you'll allow me to finish my sentence. Thank you, sir. Many of us have come here because we were hoping to speak to you on that issue. When this comes to the committees, and now I'm going to look at Ms. Perry but address everyone.
Thank you, sir.
We would like a seat at the table. We are a city entity in the Oversight Committee, so we would hope that we can address you as respected citizens of this city.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
It's not there because apparently you've turned my...
Sir, you asked for one to finish your sentence, and that was 5 sentences, so in fairness, the time has been expired. But thank you, Mr. Wiseman. We try to be as generous as possible. Bruce Darien is our next speaker out in Van Nuys. Thank you.
Council President Garcetti, City Council, good morning.
Good morning.
With President's Day passing on Monday, I'd like to inform the public that it was President Lincoln that signed into law in 1863 the False Claims Act, which is a whistleblower law to uncover fraud that's perpetrated on the government and the people of the United States. I've been a whistleblower concerning the Malibu Pier for some 8 years now, and what I'd like to talk about this morning is KTLA seems to run advertising for the Malibu Pier in their newscast. Every night they show the Malibu Pier, yet there is no investigative journalism there and investigating the fraud that's concerning the Malibu Pier. And I'd also like to go into the cover-up of what I've been told from a reliable source. I won't disclose who that is, that there's been a cover-up surrounding or concerning Sunset and Vine, that there was an explosion underground that blew a transformer, a DWP transformer. It caused contamination underground of PCBs, which are cancer-causing. It contaminated the vaults at the corner of Sunset and Vine, which is the old Home Savings Building, which houses two museums for radio and musicians, of which those people could not get their possessions out of there because it was contaminated and off limits to all people. Now, does this pose a threat to public health with this contamination underground from this transformer blowing? But this is an example. Here KTLA runs nothing, nor the rest of the press, about this contamination at Sunset and Vine, and nobody's running anything concerning the corruption in Malibu Pier. If people go to MalibuPierScandal.com, you'll see the same image that KTLA has with a very different picture. It says closed beach due to contamination. And so I invite the public to go to my website, and I'll fill the public in later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Darien. And just because we were involved, and it happens to be in my district, the explosion of transformers, we brought both county and federal public health officials out there. Los Angeles Times wrote about it, and it was on some of the broadcast stations. We continue to monitor that to ensure public safety on that, but the federal authorities are the lead with the county on that. But thank you for that. That will close our public comment. Ms. Perry, did you? Okay. That's a general public comment.
Is this where I can ask for forthwith on 46?
Sure,
yes.
Absolutely. Without objection, we will send item 46 forthwith. We thank all the public speakers for their comments today. If we can take up the first item called special, please.
First item called special, Mr. President, is item number 25, and that was called special by Mr. Alarcon.
Mr. Alarcon, we have item 25 before us. And here he comes. Doing good constituent work.
Yeah, I just called a special to mention that this is the 73rd item out of the Board of Review Commissioners, Neighborhood Council Review Commissioners recommendations, the final item that we processed through the committee. We do have a number of reports that are coming back to committee. This item specifically is the ordinance that allows the city clerk to conduct the elections in the neighborhood council system. But more than anything else, I wanted my colleagues to know that we did process every single recommendation. There are some that are not completed because they are requiring reports back from departments, but the vast majority of items have been approved by this council, and I think it really is a statement that we are committed, devoted to improving and continuing to improve the neighborhood council system. So I would ask for your support on this so that the city clerk can continue their work to conduct the elections for the neighborhood council system. There's nothing in this that is inconsistent with policy that we've already approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alarcon. With that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. We are going to hold number 29 on the desk for a moment. If we can continue the next item called special, please.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 42, and that was called special by Councilmember Gruhl, and I believe there are cards also.
Okay, why don't we start with the cards from the public, and then we'll have Ms. Gruhl speak. I have a blank card. Is there somebody who... I have Lisa Sarkin and then a blank card. Was there somebody who didn't put name in? Ms. Sarkin, why don't you come forward? We do have your name, and then there's one that was blank. Ms. Sarkin, if you'd like to address us on item 42.
Lisa Sarkin, I'm the chair of the Land Use Committee for the Studio City Neighborhood Council, but I am speaking for myself today. I hope that you will pass this motion and send it along wherever it has to go so we can get the transportation moving in the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Was there anybody else who wanted to speak on this one? If they do, okay. We had that one other card. We'll call on Ms. Gruhl now. Thank you.
Very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, what we have before us today is the Metro MTA's long-range plan, and these are comments on the pre-release draft of Metro's long-range plan. And I know we probably have staff to come on up. This is similar. You may recall last week we talked about the Skag Regional Transportation Plan. And once the draft of the MTA plan is actually released, we will have an opportunity to make further comment. I want to make sure you all understand that. We had heard this item in our committee about a month ago. And I'd asked the department to meet with each council office, because all too often what happens is the list of projects and priorities, because we don't have a lot of call for projects or things that have happened. These are lists that had been accumulated before, and I said we want to make sure that what we have is up to date. And I think the department will tell you that they met with, offered to every council office the opportunity to review the list that was going forward and to get comments. And I think that dialogue produced a list of projects that will be competitive in the future. And the reason that this is so important, colleagues, is because when MTA is considering funding some very important transportation projects, they have to be on this list. They have to be part of what they're planning. It's very difficult to get something funded that has not been part of the plan. And this fits into our larger discussion of a strategic plan for the city of Los Angeles, so that we know when we're going forward, not only to the MTA and to SCAG, but to our state and federal representatives, trying to ask for money and to make sure that they're fulfilling on their commitments and to get fair share for our city, we need to have those kinds of lists. And so this is a very broad and dynamic list covering various modes of transportations and locations. And so I want to thank the department because they did what we said, which was to go back and to get kind of input. And so if I can ask the department just to give a quick review of what is before us, Mr. President, and just hold my time. Thank you.
For the record, Michael Davies with LADOT. MTA, which wears two hats, one being the primary provider of transit in the county, the other hat being the County Transportation Commission, periodically brings up a long-range transportation plan for review. The last fully developed long-range transportation plan produced by MTA was in 2001. There was an aborted attempt at an update, which has now come full circle, and MTA is attempting to update their 2001 plan. It has been brought to the city for pre-release comment due to our working relationship with MTA. The initial presentation to council included 3 lists, one approximately 20 pages, another produced by the Harbor Department, and one by the Department of Airports. Since that 20-page document was an accumulation of projects from past calls, the 2001, 2003 aborted call, and the 2007 call for projects, it was very much in the interest of the city to have a second layer of review, primarily for cases where projects that had been previously listed no longer had community support or support of the council office. And these were the projects that were closely reviewed with the council offices to delete them from the list so that they're not competing with lists that obviously have the support of council offices in the communities through the various categories, whether it's highway, arterial streets, transit, TDM, transportation demand management, non-motorized transportation, but the gamut, the full range of projects.
And this is everything from street widenings to public transportation aspects of things. I mean, it runs the gamut in the city of Los Angeles, correct?
Absolutely does. While it may be deceptive in terms of the individual projects listed, because the long-range plan will list specific big-ticket projects for their programming purposes for things such as street widenings, TDM projects, intersection improvements, things like ATSAC. Those won't be listed specifically. There's a line item, which is typically the call for projects. So it's incumbent on the city to get its priority projects into this list to be submitted to MTA and to be a part of the long-range transportation plan.
And I want to thank all my colleagues for their input, and to make sure that you're going forward on any kind of, again, intersection-related, project-related, that you involve the Department of Transportation, because as they're preparing these lists, it's critical that they hear from the neighborhoods and the communities as to what is acceptable, not acceptable. We don't want to waste our time and energy going forward, and I think we've had several discussions with the department to make sure that the community input is considered in that. So I just want to thank them for that time they spent, that couple weeks, I think it was, diligently going around and providing a better list that is going to, I think, not only be competitive as part of it, but also one that reflects the needs of this. And there's nothing more important in the city than transportation and traffic management. Being part of that and being on time in our response, I think, is critical. So this is not our last time to comment. We will continue to monitor the project through Metro, but this ensures that they're getting our comments now, that we're players in this process rather than just responding. So I just want to thank the department and thank my colleagues and their staffs for being part of that process and ask for approval.
Thank you. We have Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Reyes, and Mr. Labange next. Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President. And again, I just want to thank Wendy Gruhl for that all-day on transportation we did the other day. I can't think of a bigger issue that we all are united about, and that's the gridlock in the Southland. It's the worst ever, and it's only going to get worse until real leadership takes it and runs forward with it. And you've been a great leader on it, Wendy, and I appreciate that. A couple of 3 quick questions for you. First is, I'm seeing on one of my papers here that we do have the green line back in the mix, that it would go into the airport and go up Lincoln Boulevard. Is it now on all the plans and all the maps going forward?
Yes, Councilman. Corrections were made. There was some confusion about a graphic that was presented by a SCAG representative in council during that day, but in terms of the actual planning documents, the Green Line extension through LAX and ultimately up Lincoln Boulevard is included in the SCAG RTP strategic plan, meaning open-ended, the open-ended plan, as well as in the MTA long-range transportation plan
Yeah,
as
and
a
I
future
appreciate
project.
that. The aviation would be the first stop on Century Boulevard. That could be a multimodal stop, so everybody else's dreams can have their light rail or their subways go to that spot, right?
That is the potential, correct?
And then we can go to parking lot C for one more stop and then go into the airport and tie it into the people mover as we go through our green light projects at LAX.
As you are, a number of alternatives are being studied, which includes that particular one.
And as well as looking up Lincoln Boulevard into Santa Monica. If we get that Expo line into Santa Monica, we have a terrific north-south connection.
Correct. Long term.
And then, well, it's got to be shorter than long. I want to be alive, you know. I'm tired of this stuff going on forever. I also want to make sure the Green Line goes down to the Galleria in Redondo Beach, which would take the whole South Bay and give them that north-south. Are we looking at that leg as well for the long-term plans?
As you're aware, the entire alignment of that is outside the city of Los Angeles, but I'm aware the South Bay COG, Council of Governments, has been actively lobbying for that, and it's my belief that it is also included in the strategic long-range transportation
Yeah, both
plan.
SCAG and MTA got to get with us in that long-range plan, but I appreciate what you just said on that. The second thing is I've been waiting for a rapid bus on Venice Boulevard, one of the most busiest streets in the city, and we have no rapid buses there at all. I want to come to work on that. How are we doing on the rapid bus idea for Venice Boulevard?
Once again, since MTA is the transit operator, who would actually be operating the services, our relationship with MTA for Rapid Bus comes to the hardware in the street and the software that enable the Rapid Buses to actually improve their travel times. We have remained in discussions with MTA to include Venice Boulevard as one of the 8 additional rapid bus routes beyond the 20 that have been previously programmed and implemented. And that's also, there is a rapid bus expansion program included in the long-range transportation plan.
Let them know that at the turn of the century, we used to use Venice a little bit more 100 years ago. It's a great boulevard. I prefer to see more activity on that than my little Pico piece being assaulted to the 405 right now. And I also want to see a bus-only lane on Wilshire Boulevard, which has been a lot of discussion about, and we'd like an update on that as well.
Right, which is also programmed in the long-range transportation plan.
Right. And thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Weiss for an introduction, and then Mr. Reyes will be our next speaker. Mr. Weiss?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to introduce some students who are here, and if the folks from Channel 35 could put their camera on the rear of the council chambers so we could see the kids. If you could put them on the screen in the very back of the room. Could you tell the guy to do that, please? What we have here with us today, cameras, hello. Can someone tell them to work out? We have the kids from the first grade at the Brentwood School, and they are in Ms. Schechter, Cohen, Schwartz, and Susson's class, and they are coming down the aisle. So let's welcome the boys and girls from Brentwood School first grade. Welcome to City Hall, everybody. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I like that.
Pleasure.
Wave, guys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weiss. Mr. Reyes is our next speaker.
These are our future debaters. First, Mr. Davies, I want to thank you for your work in the department, and thank Councilmember Gruhl for her hard work. But I did want to ask you a couple of things. One is, we have a maintenance yard next to the river by Legion Park where they made a commitment, I'd say 15 years ago, maybe 18 years ago, that they were going to move out of there in 10 years. Well, as those 10 years passed, I've been fairly passive about it because I know it's been an important factor in their qualifying for federal funds to extend the goal line going east through East Los Angeles. So I thought that was important. We stayed rather cooperative, but now I'm not getting any feedback. In their long-range plan, do they have any item that speaks to moving that Midway yard, moving that facility? Because they're literally shoehorning a whole facility that was designed to respond to a line that was much smaller in terms of capacity, number of cars. They're literally squeezing everything in there. Knowing we have a river plan, knowing we have need for park space, I can't seem to get their attention. Maybe this will do it. Can I do a verbal motion saying that we'd like to have them report to the city or give us some indicator that they're going to fulfill their commitment? Please hold my time.
The best we can do at this point is to enter into formal discussion with MTA as a reminder about the future. There are a number of bus yards in the city. They're not popular land uses wherever they're located. But since there has been previous discussions with you, Mr. Reyes, it's certainly something we can remind them about. This is the Avenue 26.
Right. This is the goal line yard between Legion Park and the river. It's called the Bull Ring.
Right.
And they made commitments. They even signed an MOU, and now they're saying we're not able to enforce it because of the legal language. But that to me is besides the point. The commitment was made, and now they're playing that type of game. And I want to make sure we get them to respond.
It's part of the original whole Taylor Yard
Right. So
master plan.
can I do a verbal motion now as part of our communication to assess existing maintenance yards as it pertains to the goal line and their future plans for the maintenance yard of the goal line? Can we make that part of our form if I can get a second on that? Get a second on that? Thank you. Again, I just want to keep their feet to the fire. I want to be cooperative. On another point, I guess I'll push my button again. I'll wait. The other point is, in terms of long-range plans, as I stated during the SCAG report, and our need to look at local circulators and local markets. This city has a culture in which we've been pushing our traffic out into the suburbs and back in as quick as possible because of the federal mandates and everything else that goes with the grading of intersections. Where I think we failed is looked at the local markets. Each neighborhood has their own version of their main street that they want to preserve. We have development of gold line stations with inadequate parking, especially the one they built going through the Northeast. It seems to me that we should be facilitating dash-type systems, local circulators that can help ease the lack of parking that's inherent throughout the city. With these local circulators, if they were electric buses, low noise, no pollution, it'd be a great way to get people to think about using the existing rail lines and bus systems to get from their home to these facilities. So that's an issue that I want to bring up as a transit-oriented district plans evolve to stimulate investment towards these types of local circulators. That's one. The other is bikeways, looking at bikes as alternative mode of transportation. Take it seriously in terms of how we are going to improve our roadways to make them safer so that the bikes in of themselves can become an option. Europe is already doing this. A couple of cities are doing it in the country where you actually can use your credit card. You can have a bike-to-bike facility. We can literally rent a bike for half a day, the day, or there's a whole program that's already evolved. The National League of Cities has highlighted that whole program, the alternative means of transportation. That's something we should take more seriously, again, to induce ridership in our bus lines, and we made it convenient to get there, and that we haven't done. So in the resolution with SCAG, if I can put this in our communication, be it further resolved that the MTA be requested to further evaluate the needs and priorities of local neighborhoods by prioritizing local transit markets that could include local circulators, improved bikeways, and enhanced transit-oriented districts consistent with the city's transit needs assessment selection process. And that's language I can introduce to you as part of our communication.
This could be introduced in the other city issues section too. On the project list, as you may be aware, the City Council has already adopted a prioritized list of community dash routes for which there is no funding currently. But this could be an additional comment, broader based in terms of local shuttles where there may be public-private partnerships or other means of actually implementing and operating the shuttle service.
Right, it gives us the opportunity to leverage
Correct.
what we have and what the private sector can do instead of just being so, I don't want to use the word myopic, but so singular in purpose in terms of how we look at funding.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Labange is our next speaker.
Very good points, Mr. Reyes. But I want to ask a question, too, on this transit plan. how many percentage of people take public transit, right now?
But there are several ways of calculating that.
But just give me a guess, because I don't want to talk too long, because I know they got other business.
On any given day in Los Angeles, of course, there are probably 1 million boardings of public transit in different forms, between bus, rail, and...
Yeah, right. And they count at a boarding twice, so it's not like there's 1 million people, it's really 500,000. Anyway, like 85% of people still use vehicles, right?
On any given day for the journey to work, correct.
Whatever it is.
Personal vehicles.
Who's going to focus on the existing freeway system? Are we going to abandon that, or are we going to deal with it?
No, it's not abandoned at all. In fact, one of the comments that we make to MTA is the city's demand that the city have a greater role to play in influencing the investment decisions by Caltrans. Right now, in the call for projects, for freeway projects, MTA works almost exclusively with Caltrans in determining which projects get funding through the call. And one of our demands is that the city, as a major beneficiary of improvements, but also one of the entities that suffers the most in terms of failure of the freeways to function fully, that we should be seated at the table when those decisions are being made.
Very good. And I've asked the CLA for some kind of advisory group for freeway systems in the county to be a voice for that, because still a number of people move. This little map, I don't know if you can see, Michael, and you're very knowledgeable of the city. These are just simple pinch points with existing right-of-ways. Northbound 5 sometimes backs up all the way to Los Feliz Boulevard, 4.5 miles, because of the Alameda on-ramp in Burbank. If the on-ramp was changed to be a transitional on-ramp instead of a drop on-ramp, possibly it would ease the congestion. Same thing south on the Harbor Freeway. As you go to the port, it goes from 4 lanes down to 3. Also down the Hollywood Freeway all the way through to the 4 level. There's certain pinch points that could be, corrected. And also the San Diego Freeway. I went out to Mr. Rosenthal's district there on Saturday. Congratulations on that great fire station you fought for the people out there on the West Jefferson Boulevard, Mr. Rosenthal. I saw all the work that's being done on the San Diego Freeway, but they're like going to be finished in years. We should be asking Caltrans to try to expedite that just to ease the pain of congestion. And anyway, I just want to make sure we do focus on our freeway system still. We do focus on our streets, secondaries, and majors. We do focus on Pauline Chan's concept of neighborhood protection. She's over at DOT. And also we do focus on things that Mr. Reyes spoke of, the bikeway system, which is so important, bicycle boulevards, using our existing right-of-ways, whether they're transmission, whether they're river right-of-ways for bikeways. One of the big fight I have coming up is I want the bikeway on the LA River through the county property out by Universal. But if you go out there, you see they built on the right-of-way, and so we have that problem. So this is just a point. And members, I just want one of my challenges for or things I'm going to do in 2008 is talk about pinch points on the freeway system, and I'll be visiting with you all. I know I got Mrs. Hahn's pinch point, and right there at the 110 and the 405. And I know Mr. Alarcon spoke yesterday about a pinch point up at the 5. Mr. Smith will continue with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So last speaker, Mr. Sachs, I believe we didn't have your name on the card. If you'd like to come forward.
No, it's my understanding that they do have to list major crimes.
Good morning. Thank you very much, and thank you, Council President, for allowing me to speak. Just listening, I heard a call for projects and call list from previous years. How many projects from previous years are repeat calls on this new list? Do the call projects from the previous years move up in rank? If it was from 2001, does it move up to the top 10 of 2008 call for projects? I understand Councilman Rosendahl had some questions about the Green Line extension. Is the state supporting legislation for a construction authority for the Green Line to extend? Previously, the MTA rejected support because of the Expo Construction Authority and the Foothill Construction Authority. Now they say that the continuation of the Expo line from Culver City to Santa Monica could cost as much as $1.8 billion. which is an outrageous sum of money in the first place, considering the estimates for the toll road through the Orange County Trestle area was ranked about $900 million for a 23-mile toll road. So what's changed the MTA's point of thinking in regards to funding for the Green Line? And it was requested that the Green Line would continue up through Santa Monica, but I know that there was a request to fund a study to connect the Green Line to the Culver City station with the Expo line. So what is that study? Where does that stand? And what about the Culver City, the Crenshaw right of way? Where does that stand on the call for project? And the high-speed rail network that's been proposed. Where is that going to run? What is the proposed route for that? Will we get some information on that in the near future? Thank you again for your answers and your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. That'll close the comments on this. And as amended, if we can please open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, that is approved. And we've had a request also on 44 to go forthwith, if there's not any objection. Seeing none, we will send that forthwith. And number 29, Mr. Rosendahl called special. Mr. Reyes, as chair, also wanted to speak on it, and as chair would have the precedence, and then we'll come to you right after. So, Mr. Reyes, on item 29, the SB 1818 one is before us now? Okay.
Thank you, Council President. Again, colleagues, we've had over 2 to 3 years of discussion, of public hearings that have gone on for some time. I'm hoping we can just reach a conclusive decision today, and I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl.
I just wanted to go on record and say I'm voting no on it. Thank you.
Okay, and on the just one motion on the guidelines that was a technical point I wanted to add as well. I think it's important that we have the Planning Department and Housing Department revise the affordable housing guidelines and return to the City Council for discussion and approval. This is also will provide critical details so we know what the requirements are, how to meet them, and the procedure each department plans to use to implement them. So I would move that the departments, and it's similar to what Mr. Rosendahl had asked for before, report back within 90 days to HCED and Plum on this. And fees related to this ordinance are coming forth, I understand, in a separate ordinance. So I would move that the city attorney complete that ordinance as soon as possible and send that to the clerk for scheduling. I know Mr. Parks had an amendment as well. Mr. Parks?
Yes, I'd just like to ask on the guidelines if we can give an instruction that it includes a notification to each council office when there is a SB 1818 permit issued, not upon approval, but issued, and then each office would get that information.
Absolutely. We can share that with the community, too. So I know that's something many community members have asked us. So as is, if we can, folks, this is the 1818 one, so I know some folks are voting for and against, so I want to make sure everybody's paying attention. Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 4 noes.
Okay. That is approved, and we'll send that forthwith without objection. That was the second reading of the ordinance. And if we can take the next item, please.
The next item, Mr. President, is item number 49, and that was called special for cards.
Okay, item 49 is before us now, and we will go out to the Valley. Sharon Brewer is our next speaker.
Sharon Brewer, item number 49. It's relative to funding for community amenities in Council District 14. I was just wondering, this money, $50,000 is coming from the Central Los Angeles Recycling and Transfer Station Community Amenities Trust Fund to provide funding for community amenities in Council District 14. When I went to the motion, I didn't see anything that goes and says where this money is going, so that there's a way of kind of following what community entities or amenities are being benefited by using this money. And I was just wondering if there's a way of being able to track where this money goes to. I know that there have been other ones of these transfers from this CLART fund, and I'd just like to be able to see where they're going, and also if there's money for just CD 14, I would hope that we wouldn't really see too many special event fee waivers for that council district. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brewer. Any members wishing to be heard on this item? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, are the closed sessions, and I believe there are cards on some of the closed sessions. Do you wish to take up those?
Yes, please. We have Arnold Sachs, if you'd like to come forward on items 53 and 54.
Good morning,
we
Council
continued
President.
52, but we'll give you 4 minutes if you want to speak on both of them.
No, that's okay. I can address all items at the same time. I'm just curious to find out, or if it's possible to find out, if these closed session items are using in-house counsel versus outsourcing counsel, and if they're using outsourcing counsel, which items those are, and generally what the expense so far year to date is on the cost for outside counsel that the city has incurred. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll see if we can get you those answers. Any members wishing to be heard in open session on that? If not, we'll continue those till closed session. So, yes, Mr. City Attorney?
On item number 50, item number 50 could be taken up in open session. It's just the reissuing of a check.
Okay. Anybody wishing to go into closed session on 50? If not?
And, Mr. President, just for the record, it's the amount of $145,000, and it's the reissuance of a check inasmuch as the plaintiff's attorney had passed away.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open the roll on 50. We'll move that settlement and close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay. That is approved. That leaves us with 51, 53, and 54 for closed session. Do we have any other housekeeping before we go into closed session?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, Mr. Zine.
If we could move 51 on the city attorney's recommendation without a hearing.
Okay.
The recommendation from the city attorney.
All right. Is there anybody who objects to not going to closed session on that?
Yeah, we can just approve what the recommendation is from the city attorney.
Yes, we can procedurally.
Okay.
But the city
can't do it then?
Does want to advise us on it.
Okay, I thought we'd. All right.
Okay. Ms. Perry?
President, if we
Sure.
go into closed session, when we come out, will we do announcements? Because I do have something I need to do.
Yes, absolutely. Would you like to make the announcement now?
Yeah, if
Sure.
you don't mind, it'll only
Yeah, go
take
ahead.
a minute.
Please go ahead while we have the public here.
Come on, you're up. Okay, this will just take a second, and I have a friend who is an activist very involved in our downtown community. His name is Ed Fuentes, and he is a very famous photographer and blogger. So for those of you who read Blog Downtown, View from Aloft, and some other unnamed blogs where he has an alias, you might want to pay attention and be nice to him. So you may read about it later. Yeah, and for the past several years, downtown and Main Street in particular, we've been going through a transition. And with any type of growth, we sometimes struggle to find a balance between the old and the new. Main Street Recovery is a mural that sits atop the entrance of the currently under restoration Regent Theater, just south of 4th Street at 5th and Winston on Main Street. This mural has done a great job of documenting the evolution of various community members along this corridor. And so Ed is here today, and I just wanted to thank him publicly, along with Dale Youngman, Russell Brown, for their efforts in making this mural a reality. And I just want to invite everybody to stop by and enjoy the artwork on site. And just to ask Ed to say a few words, because he has a great radio voice, and you might enjoy it.
Thank you. To show you maybe how inactive my life is, I watch channel 36, 35 and see how people make couple comments. So I thought I'd come down and maybe do the other side and say, for all those who help make the city of LA a little bit better, thanks. Something also that was written was in celebrating the people who make change in the city. Sometimes it takes tragedy to to show or to find out their story. One person who's on the mural is Senior Lead Officer Dion Joseph, but it wasn't as a hero so much, but as somebody who was part of the community. I think that the idea that stories are all over the city and items such as a mural can bring some of them out. Blogs can bring them out. More than just gossip, rumors, and hearsay can bring some of those stories out. And I also wanted to maybe briefly just say thanks to everybody who've been very good at communicating with us online media people. It's been interesting to cover the stories, both pro and con. And since I think somebody's taping this for me, I wanted just to acknowledge that my folks who just celebrated their 49th wedding anniversary a few days ago, both of them are very active in community involvement ever since they were teenagers in treating stories, people, authority with respect and not afraid to question it. And I think from that comes a subtext and narrative about murals, journalism, or just a way to kind of go about things to kind of make things in a more positive change and keep community active and intact. But thank you anyway. And it's really, actually I wanted to say thanks to all those who I've got to know. It's been really kind of a kick, and just as a community member.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes.
Mr. Fuentes, I just wanted to first congratulate your parents. 49 years, that's great. But also because, as an English major, I like to appreciate different styles of writing, and I've mentioned this to you before. I enjoy how you are able to describe scenarios in a very story-like fashion, and it kind of brings a sense of community to what you're describing. It's not just a big smog bowl with a mass of people going through all these changes, but you are literally looking at these nice little vignettes. The Langer story I thought was great because you spoke about the history of a man who stuck it out in a neighborhood that's been through so many changes. And because of his commitment to family and neighbors and just community people, has had a very fruitful, so to speak, restaurant. So thank you so much, and thank you for those stories.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Appreciate it. We will now, in accordance with California state law, be going into closed session to discuss some legal matters that are before us. Any votes requiring a public vote will also be taken when we come back into open session. We thank folks who have been here, and if we could ask the Sergeants at Arms to please help us clear the room for our closed session discussions. Thank you all very much.
There was a wall made of stones. It curved like your hair through rising fields of green grasses.
All right, we're back in open session. We have item 53 to vote on. Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. President, and that's a settlement in the workers' compensation case, and that's in the amount of $134,062.50 plus the life pension thereafter payable at a weekly rate of $77.31.
Okay, please prepare the roll on item 53 and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That settlement is approved. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, is item 54, and I believe Mr. Rosendahl has a verbal motion on this one to approve
Mr. Rosendahl,
the settlement.
a verbal motion on the settlement?
Yes, I would like my colleagues to approve it, as did BOAC, and thank you all for that discussion. Thank you.
Please open the roll on the settlement, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Thank you. Next order of business.
And that clears the desk, Mr. President.
Okay. Any announcements of a business nature, colleagues? If not, do we have any adjourning motions today? Anybody with adjourning motions? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Parks, Perry, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wessons, Sine, Garcetti.
Thank you. We'll next be in session this Friday, the 22nd. This meeting of the Los Angeles City Council is adjourned. Have a great day.